Lighting is not good here. Get that fixed. Ooh, all right, all right. Madobe, Madobe, Madobe. Uh, enfin, Maulisa Afwan, uh, say Joto Afwan, they say Afwan. Hey everybody, Afwan. What's going on, everybody? Long time no hear from. It's your friendly neighborhood online. I'm Ganse. Nana Densu. No, 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 no. Nana Togo Messi. Habla Pluto Fia de Fira. Eh. Um, and I'm reaching out to y'all today because I ain't talked to y'all in a minute. It's been a grip. You know, um, I'm the voodoo's got me working over at a halfway house right now, trying to help some folks who need some help. Um, and one of the things that comes up periodically is Mr. Voodoo Priest Man. Uh, how is voodoo different from any other religion? Why are we practicing it? If especially if everybody's not a priest, because I tell everybody, your destiny is what the universe needs. Not for you to be a priest necessarily. Everybody's not supposed to be a priest. And a lot of people take that as an assertion that I'm better than you, and that's not the case. Um, but what most people know about voodoo when they first come in contact with it is that it's some kind of magical, mystical principle, and you get to do these magical, wonderful, horrifying things with voodoo, and that's not what voodoo is, right? What voodoo is a culture and a way of life, a way for you to be living, right? And the reason we have it is not so that we can exercise power and authority over our enemies, but so that we can uh, cultivate our spiritual selves and our values and our worth, right? And make ourselves better than we were the day before. Mm. So, to that end, let me talk to y'all about that. If you are not a voodoo priest, right, and most of us aren't, if you're not a voodoo priest and you're not a witch, then what you shouldn't be doing is casting spells or binding people or stuff like this, because that's not what we do, right? That's not what you're here for. If you're not a voodoo priest, you are here for another reason, another purpose, right? To actively, a priest is just supposed to be a go-between the community and the spirit world, the invisible world. Everybody else is supposed to be making the world work. Uh, so that means your destiny, right, is of the utmost importance. Okay? So if you're not a priest, then you're seeking out your vocation, your calling, uh, your destiny, your essay, finding out who and what that is, what that says you're supposed to be doing, and then you go about your business of doing that the best way possible in the world that you're in. Right? So, say for example, you got your destiny is to feed the homeless. And you got spirits that represent someone who can do that, right? You got strong spirits with you to protect you while you're doing it too, right? So you got Goo, you got Mama, uh, Mami Apuke, no, your Mami Ablo. You got whoever you need, you got that, right? They're with you, and so while you out there walking through the slums, trying to take care of people, these spirits are around you protecting you. It's not your job to interact with them spirits and make them and make them do X, Y, and Z for you. Your job is to feed the homeless, right? The spirit's job is to clear the path for you and give you what you need to do that job, right? So that you always have at your fingertips the bare minimum you need to be successful at that, because that's what you're here for, right? Um, and should the need arise that you need direct divine intervention, um, then the possibility for you to do that with them is there as well. But then that's a whole nother direction of travel. And it still has to be confined to you to facilitating your destiny, what you're here for. And if it doesn't do that, then you're going to find yourself in disharmony. And when you find yourself in disharmony, life gets bad. You get in a bad place mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And you don't want to do that. So how do we do this though? Well, it all starts with divination. I said it a million times. I'll say it a million and one more. It always starts with divination. You identify who your spirits are, who your family spirits are, right? And the reason this is because we are born through the gates, most in keeping with our destinies. That will provide us the best opportunity to fulfill our destinies. Not the easiest, not the most pleasant, but the best opportunity for us to fulfill our destinies. And it's the best opportunity because the venue by which we come to this world encourages us to grow in a direction, right? And to build up a certain amount of strength. So if you're born in difficult circumstances, that would make it difficult for you to be who you are, or who you want to be, who you need to be. That's not an indication that you are born, that you were not meant to be that person. It's an indication that you were meant to develop a certain type of strength, right? That will allow you to overcome the obstacles that you will face in the course of you becoming who you are, right? So let's say, for example, you're that same soup kitchen worker that we talked about earlier, but you were born in a poverty so abject that there's no way in the world you would ever be able to expect that you would ever be able to give something to someone else, right? You were born with not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, born homeless, born in prison, right? And you grew up around the world. And everything that happened in life around you, bad thing happened to you, and everything that happened in life around you was borderline soul crushing. Anybody else it would have destroyed, right? You were born into those circumstances though, so that when you reached maturity, you were brought to a watershed where you could become the worst thing ever, or you could decide that nobody should go through what you went through and try to make the world a little bit of a better place. And if you choose B and make the world a better place, then you have this wealth of experience, right? And this experience has prepared you for the challenges ahead. So here it is, you thought you was born in a world that was the least conducive for you to be a altruistic giving person. And in fact, it prepared you to be just what the world needs by enduring the suffering that the worst of your society has to endure. Now that you find yourself in a position to give, you know what it takes to do that, and you can counsel people on doing that, and you recognize the pain and the trauma that these people go through because it was your own. And more importantly, I think this is very significant. When the time comes and you find yourself faced with a threat to your mind, body, or soul, your person, from that type of place, you have the skill set necessary to meet that challenge head on. You see, so it doesn't suit for a person to stand on the outside and look at the course of your life and say to you that you were not meant to do X, Y, and Z, right? The best thing to do is to go receive divination. Which is why we always say this, because when you do the divination speaks directly to your destiny, right? Whether it is Afa Ifa or it is Amangansi, or if it is only Auga or Obi, that divination speaks directly to your destiny, and it will tell the priest who you are and why you're here, what you're meant to be doing. And then the ball goes into your court. You go on about your business. So a lot of people, we're gonna make a real quick segue from that. A lot of people, they say, "Well, I'm watching these videos. I'm interested in voodoo because I'm looking for this power or prosperity. Yeah, that's what you guys do. You make people rich, you make people powerful, you give people power over their enemies." And to that, I say, no more than any other mouthpiece for the gods would. Because a lot of people get upset. Why don't you talk to us about the attributes of the gods, the attributes of the voodoos? Why don't you talk to us about those? Because that's not a concern for the rank and file of persons that are looking at these videos. The average person looking at these videos don't need to know that. You don't need to know it. I can tell you, but you don't need to know. And in actuality, it's such a generalization anyway. First and foremost, we could be talking about anybody and anything, and secondly, it might not be applicable to you, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, and this will get into something that most people do want to hear about, which is the anatomy of the human soul. The some form or fashion of Africanist or Orientalist, right? And everything, we want to boil everything down to Egyptian, Hebrew, or Hindu origin, right? So we look at things and we say the parts of the soul. So we mention these things as parts of the soul. That's what we talk about, because in Egypt they got 9 parts. And Hindus, they have a whole bunch of parts. I don't remember how many. The Hebrews, they say you got more than, you got like 3 or 4 parts to them. I don't remember how many they say. You got the Roush and the Nephthys and something else. I don't even remember. And so, folks want to know about what it looks like in the parts of the soul looks like in voodoo. Yeah. In voodoo is contemplative, and it is allegorical, but it's also very practical and very empirical. And so we don't have discussions in voodoo about things that are unimportant. We don't do it. But we do talk about things that are very important, or very immediate to our situations. So, in the effort to satisfy people's curiosities about the makeup of the soul, I will tell you this because this came up. As a matter of fact, it came up in a Facebook post put up there not too long ago, and I ended up giving a surprise dissertation on this. The human being is indeed made up of many, many different parts. These parts, if you haven't figured out by now, are arbitrary, uh, in most cases, are arbitrary assignments, right? And it's to make it easy for you to understand them, and grasp it in your mind. But these parts that we're made out of, um, they are forms and forces and vibrations and rhythms that intersect in time and space, um, as you. And they come in and they interlace as you, and then between 30 seconds and 100 years, they usually unravel. And when they unravel, they're slightly changed, and then they reform in other times and places and whatever's. Right? So these threads are many things. These threads are many things. And they find themselves being allegorically represented in the fullness of your body. So we're going to start with that. Lots of people like to talk about the head because that is the seat of intelligence and wisdom and da 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 da. Da. I'm not starting there. I could, but you already have 1,000,001 books that'll tell you about how important the head is. Instead, I'm going to start somewhere else where people don't think about very often and ignore its importance until it is no longer present. And that place, ladies and gentlemen, is the feet. Yeah, I just did it. I just pulled my feet up and put them in front of the camera, waved them at them, I can wiggle my toes at you. And it's important to understand this, y'all. Arguably, the most important part of the body. I see folks say, how is that possible? When you consider that it is the foot upon which you stand, and it is the foot upon which you move from point A to point B throughout time and space, that gets you to any place you need to be at that's important or not important. That it is your feet who direct where you are and where you're going, which in and of itself forms the parameters of what you can actually do. You understand why the feet are considered to be synonymous with your destiny. Yes, sir, your feet are synonymous with your destiny. It determines where you go, how fast you get there, what it feels like, that environment. Walking barefoot on carpet is different than walking barefoot on linoleum, marble, sand, glass, twigs, trees, grass. All right? It's the first information you get. And you're helpless in your life until you can stand up on your own 2 feet and go from point A to point B on your own. You are helpless. The first thing a baby strives to do is stand up. And in this way, they take some control of their lives, some control of their destinies. And so the feet are synonymous with your destiny, but your destiny as in where you're going and how you're getting there. And this is interesting because your destiny is also synonymous with your head, which is where you want to go and what you want to do when you get there. Uh, and it's all the head is why you're doing it, but your feet tells you where you are, how you move, how fast you're moving, the terrain you have to go through to get there. All of this is dictated by your feet. All of this is accomplished by your feet. So as we go forth today on this beautiful Sunday, let us meditate on our feet. Let us think about our feet, how useful they are, how necessary they are, how essential they are, right? And how they play directly into the conversation of who we are and where we're going and what we do when we get there. So that's it for now until later when I get more inspirations from the spirits. Oh, Queen Luna wants to show her face.
Hi guys. I would like to tell you I have a bunch of toys. So hi boys and girls. This is the first video I ever. So this is what our house looks like. In my room it looks like that.
Y'all, this is what happens when you feed your kids too much sugar. Don't do that. Come on, girl, take yourself upstairs. I just ended the video. You are late. Get on. Go on now. Let go of my
Guys,
lady.
at the end of the video,
Would you say
will be
goodbye? Say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Don't miss the next video, okay? If you didn't saw the video, just ask your parents. Just make your own video, okay?
Get a little crazy tail out of here.
Okay? Just like Cookie Wesley and Miss Ham.
All right, that's it. Go on now.
Cookie Wesley.
I have the most wonderful, lovely child in the world. Which reminds me, next week we will be talking about children. What are they good for? So until then, love, peace, and stay encouraged, stay blessed, live good. Peace out.
Peace out.